I see. I'm so lost. I just need somebody to tell me what to do.
Hopefully you all had a wonderful Easter weekend. Anything fun and exciting happened?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Was in Arizona.
you were in Arizona. Wait.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Auburn, winning the NIT tournament. So, right, like I don't understand why it's called NIT. What?
The National Invitation Tournament. So it's the original basketball tournament for the NCAA, or
Yeah.
not the NCAA, but it used to be held in Madison Square Garden in New York.
Yep.
And then the NCAA got sued and bought it because of an antitrust lawsuit.
Okay.
But,
Glad you all know the history, but you were there.
oh no,
and-
he won the wheelchair basketball national championship.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about something else. Well, I'm glad y'all corrected me. So that's awesome. Way to go. I hope you celebrated. I'm glad you made it back here safely. Oh, that's so cool. Way to knock them dead. So very cool. And then we had the NIT tournament too, where Auburn won that last night, which, speaking of branding, NIT. Do you guys know what a knit is?
It's a
Isn't that like baby lice? Are the eggs of head lice in tiny oval shape? Yeah, okay. So anytime I hear knit or see NIT, I can't help but think about lice. So to loop this back into our discussion on branding, we really need to be careful about acronyms, those things, because as we talked about, brand associations are so important. And we want strong, favorable, and unique associations. And so I can't help but say the knit, every time I see that, I keep thinking about lice. So anyhow, fun fact for you there. And then baseball. How did Auburn baseball do this weekend? Did we end up winning?
two out of one. Or two out of three.
So we won the series?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I was kind of removed. We went out of town for the holiday weekend, so I've been a little removed from Auburn sports, but it seems like it was a pretty awesome weekend for Auburn sports. So that's great. Very, very great there. So what's the plan for today? The plan for today is we're going to talk about Starbucks. We've got our last Starbucks case, or last required case, to be presented today. I also want to mention, though, there is the optional case, the Pillsbury case. I've had a couple questions about that. If you want to do that, you can complete it on your own. You can complete it with a new team. You can complete it with the same team. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. It's optional. So it's only there to help you if you want to do something different. And the reason why I kind of open it up to you being able to complete it on the individual level is simply because I recognize that when you're working in a team, maybe not all team members want to do this optional case. So it's really up to you if you want to do that. Your call, it can't hurt you. But we'll have the Starbucks case today. We're going to talk about a couple other things related to the Starbucks case because I think Starbucks is a good example of many concepts that we've talked about throughout this course. And then if we end a little early, we end a little early and you have a little bit of time to talk with your group about your project, which is upcoming. The end of the semester is going to be here before we know it. So it's crazy how time flies. Any questions? No? Okay, well, why doesn't the Starbucks group come on down? What you gotta do, and the floor is yours when you're ready.
All right, good morning, everybody. Today we'll be presenting our Starbucks case. My name is Tyler. I have Clayton Daniel,
Hello.
and Mia alongside of us today. We're going to get into the problem and the key issues, as well as some customer lifetime value analysis, and ultimately our recommendation. But before we get started, we just want to get a feel for the room today. Does anybody drink Starbucks every week? Just show of hands. Every week? 2 times a week? 3 times a week? Every day? Steel?
Yeah.
Steel? Why do you drink Starbucks every single week?
Habit, and the people there are very nice to me.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
So it's early, Monday morning after a holiday. So some groups have brought in some things. So we actually brought in some Starbucks for you guys today. So we'll bring that in. Oh, it didn't actually make the budget, so we're sorry about that. But anyway, Daniel is going to go through the problem, and he's going to tell you more about that.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel. Like I said, before I go into the problem, I'm going to give you a quick introduction to Starbucks. So Starbucks is a coffee brand, started in 1971 by 3 people. The goal was to share the coffee experience at Coffee House. They're trying to make America's third place. So the first 2 places, you're either going to be at work or you're going to be at home. Where else can you be? Be a coffee shop. So what they try to do is they're trying to live by the mantra of living the coffee, right? So having the good coffee, but also not just the coffee. What their brand focuses on is 3 things: the coffee, the customer service, what's it called, customer intimacy, and also the atmosphere, right? So for the coffee, what they try to do is they try to source their coffee from all over the world. They try to take control as much as the process supply chain as possible, having control over the roasting, the distribution. For the customer intimacy, can anyone explain to me, when you order a drink or when you go to Starbucks that often, Steele, what do you like about the customer service?
Well, they write a nice little note on your drink, and unfortunately, they know me as a regular now, so I don't have to say my order anymore.
Yeah, so the thing about the customer service is you go there, a lot of the customers go as much as 18 times a month. When they know the customer's name, they know hey, I know your usual drink. Would you like your usual drink today? That creates a good bond between the barista, the Starbucks brand, and the customer. And also for the atmosphere, right? So what they say is they come for the coffee, but they stay for the atmosphere. So it's a very lounging area where people just relax. Right? So the company went public in 1992, and ever since they've gone public, they've expanded worldwide. So around 5,000 stores by 2002, and also 20 million customers. All right, so if we take this to 2002, so the current problem, Christine Day, the Senior Vice President of Administration for North America, their internal marketing research says that they're doing a great job. But when they look at their customer research, they're not doing so well. There's a gap between the customer satisfaction. So how they analyze their internal customer research or internal research is something called a customer snapshot. So what that is it's a mystery shopper that goes to their stores 3 times a quarter, and they review it based on certain criteria such as, I have it right here, service, cleanliness, product quality, and speed of service. So the speed of service is what customers are saying that they're not meeting the customer's expectations. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a drink from when they order it to when the customer receives it in under 3 minutes. Even though their internal research says they're meeting this goal, the customers are saying they're so busy expanding that they're missing the customer intimacy aspect. All right, so for Christine Day in 2002, what she's proposing is a $40 million annual investment. What this is going to do is going to add 20 labor hours per store per year. What this enables them to do is still have that throughput of that many customers, but also give that customer the intimacy. By 2002, what's happening is a lot of the drinks are getting complex. Some of these drinks takes almost 10 steps. So when almost half of the customers are customizing their drinks, this slows down the process. So by introducing more labor, they can help make these drinks, but also keep that customer intimacy. All right, so why is this going to be a good thing? So the number one driver of dissatisfaction is the customer intimacy. So this additional labor is going to help them keep this customer intimacy without losing any what the Starbucks brand is known for. Why is this not a good aspect? So labor is one of the biggest expenses. So if we're adding more to labor, who says that, if we introduce this is not gonna solve the problem? All right, so and a lot of the big pushback internally is, they're saying that, grab my slides. What they're saying is that we've already invested so much, like, hey, we're introducing this automatic espresso maker, the Versmo machine. We've tried to simplify some menu items, and what we're doing is showing a little bit of improvement. Why do we need to add this cost? So if we add this cost, what this is gonna do is it can dilute our profit margin, but also can dilute earnings per share by 7 cents a share. If we do this might signal to our shareholders that something is going on. All right, so now I'm gonna pass it off to Clayton. He's gonna go over the customer lifetime value.
All right, just a little bit of math here. So this is actually a concept we just covered in class here recently. So this is customer lifetime value. And essentially this is a metric that we can use to quantify our customer satisfaction. There's an example that we discussed. That was using like a grocery store's promotional rewards membership and determining whether or not it's worth it, the value that those customers are getting from the non-rewards customers. And so this is kind of what we did with Starbucks. And so this is directly from the case. So this is Exhibit 9, and this is where in the case, there's 3 tiers of customers. There's the unsatisfied customer, the satisfied, and the highly satisfied. And so we have on the left-hand side, what we're measuring here is the number of visits per month, and then the average ticket size, or that's just the average cost that customer is spending per visit. And then that is our average customer life in years, albeit these are probably slightly outdated values from 2002, but it still works for our case here. And then down at the bottom is the formula that we use to get our calculations for our later charts. But the top chart here, so what we did is we took our visits per month for each customer, multiplied by 12 to get the average annual visits for each of the tiers. We took our average ticket cost and multiplied that by our annual visits to get our annual revenue. And then when we take our customer life, we multiply that by our annual revenue to get our customer lifetime value for each of the 3 tiers. And so at the bottom is where we are distinguishing between each of the 3 tiers, where we take a difference between the customer lifetime value, and then the multiple is basically just iterating. So I'll take the highly satisfied versus the satisfied customer as an example. So what this is saying is that a highly satisfied customer is generating roughly $2,200 more in their stretch of life with a company over a satisfied customer. Or in other words, a highly satisfied customer is about 3.4 times more valuable to the firm than a satisfied customer. And so you can imagine this is just for one customer. So if we can convert, 100,000 plus customers from one tier to the next, obviously bringing unsatisfied to highly satisfied would be the biggest jump. But if we can move customers from satisfied to highly satisfied and a bunch of them, that is going to generate a lot more long-term value to Starbucks. And so we kind of touched on some of this already, but basically these calculations are showing that there is a substantial increase in lifetime value as the customer satisfaction improves. And just a couple of more examples that just kind of reiterate our point here is that an unsatisfied customer generates around $200. Satisfied customer is about 4 times more valuable than an unsatisfied. Highly satisfied customer generates roughly $3,100 in revenue, which is 3 times more valuable than a satisfied customer. You kind of get my point here, but we'll move on to the next section of the presentation. I'll give it to
So moving on a bit to what customers expect out of a Starbucks experience and sort of the customer experience that Starbucks has trained their customers to expect. There are several things that have kind of been consistent throughout the company's history. First of all, being convenience. They want you to be able to find a Starbucks whenever you want a coffee, as well as get in and out quickly. And as Daniel kind of touched on that 3-minute wait time. They also really focus on friendly staff, their kind of advantage comes from the fact that they're very friendly. They kind of build a rapport with the customers. If you're regular, they I know who you are in your order, as Steele mentioned. They also are getting more back into their personalized service. For example, with their writing on coffee cups, they're allowing customization. They also focus a lot on high quality food and drink. They've kind of positioned themselves as a premium coffee house. And they also really focus on having a clean environment, because that kind of leads into the next thing. If you want somebody to stick around, you're going to want the place to be clean. So if they want it to be a good third place, they're not going to want everything to be sticky and just generally unpleasant to be at. And one really key thing that they're pretty much always focused on has been human interaction is key. They're not just going to be a technology company. They're not going to have you ordering from screens in store. They're always going to want to have that personalized connection. Now, looking a little bit at this, how this looks in 2026, because it has been a while since 2002, they have recently-ish changed over their CEO in late 2024, and he introduced a plan that he called Back to Starbucks, and that includes 4 main things. Empower baristas to provide that great customer experience by giving them a bit more freedom with what they can provide. Like if you spill a drink, they can offer you another one at no additional charge and things like that. Get every morning right for customers, which is, fulfill orders properly, just provide the best experience they can, be friendly, reestablish Starbucks as a community coffee house. That kind of went away during COVID because obviously no one could stick around at a coffee shop anymore. And because of some of the problems that COVID introduced into the market, they actually did start some walk-in only coffee houses, which they have since closed, in order to give that human connection a bit more. And also they're trying to tell Starbucks story, just get people who like to really buy into the brand of Starbucks and what they stand for, and just really start to enjoy Starbucks again. Get a bit more to the execution. One thing that they're really trying to do for speed is they have implemented a new algorithm, where it used to be that the first order they get is the first order they make, whether it be mobile, in-store, whatever. Now they have an algorithm that will prioritize, like, okay, this drink will be quicker than this drink, get this one done first, and like these can be done simultaneously and things like that. They've also added more baristas, once again, to kind of get more to that more friendly, personalized experience and not have the baristas be as stressed. They've also brought back writing on cups, which did go away for a while, once again because of COVID and cleanliness issues. And they are also redesigning their locations to make it a more modern feel and try and get people to really get back into the habit of coming to Starbucks just to be in a third place. And they've also changed up their menu. Specifically, they have decreased it by roughly 30%. And this has been to enable them to respond to more cultural changes. As we all know, cultural moments tend to be a bit more of a flash in the pan, so they're trying to be more responsive to those cultural moments through having a smaller base menu. Now I will move it on to Tyler.
Yeah. So bringing it back to the original question is that should they invest $40 million per year in this labor? And our recommendation proposal is ultimately yes, but it's not just an easy yes, it's more of a strategic yes, that yes, they can add $40 million into labor, hire more baristas and do all these things, but ultimately if they lack on execution, then they're ultimately just spending this money and nothing's actually changing. And we see the value of the customer lifetime value, that people come in and they spend more money as they're more highly satisfied, and ultimately if they're not strategic and executing, then these customers aren't actually becoming highly satisfied customers. But additionally is that the customer lifetime value, it does show that there is long-term payoff, even from an unsatisfied customer being just 1 year in business to a highly satisfied customer going to 8 years in business, and up to 4 times more likely to, or 4 times more revenue from just the satisfied customer, shows that there's a long-term payoff, though that the investment is substantial, being in the $40 million. The 3-minute rule, and of course the speed of service, is one of the most important factors, not only in just coffee, but just in the restaurant industry in general. as well as correctness of the order. The investment in labor should increase the speed of service as they hire these more baristas and they have more hands-on training and able to get orders out, in and out quicker. Then the customer satisfaction level should increase. And even we saw just the satisfied customer, that even modest improvements in satisfaction. That even if they're not a highly satisfied customer, there's still substantial payoffs just from even the satisfied customer as well. So we want to leave y'all with 3 key takeaways that we took away from this case. The first one is that customer satisfaction drives long-term profitability. That even a highly satisfied customer is going to be 3 times more likely than a satisfied customer. So really hitting on the speed of service and making sure that the customers are being highly satisfied in their speed of service and ultimately will drive long-term profitability and revenue. The second one being is that the highly satisfied customers generate more lifetime value, up to 3 times as much as the satisfied. And third one being that even though the investment is costly, it can be justified if meaningful improvements from the speed of service and ultimately the customer service. So we thank you for your time today, and we'll open it up to any questions.
I have one quick question. Second to last slide. What drink is that that's on there?
This one?
Yes.
Oreo, Frappuccino.
Mocha.
Some sort of frappuccino?
I think so.
It has to be a frappuccino, but I'm like,
It's milkshake.
that look like, yeah. Anyhow, it looks like something you would have on a very hot summer day, which it is not outside. What questions do y'all have for them? I have some questions for the group, but if you guys don't have any questions, I mean, I have questions for the group, like the whole entire class, I should say that. Well, go ahead, have a seat. Thank you all very, very much. I really like this case because, in my opinion, though it is dated, I can't remember exactly when the case was published, I think many of the issues that are discussed in the case are still occurring today. You know, how do we improve the customer experience? How do we address this goal, which might conflict with this goal? Whether or not to adapt this new technology. You know, certainly we're living in the world of AI, and so lots of firms are asking themselves these very same questions. So one of the things that caught me in this case, that I think that this case does a really good job of illustrating, which you kind of really need to think about and read between the lines as you read this case, is that they're talking about speed of service, right, as being one of these key pillars that's important. Does that support or is that aligned with some of their other goals? Like customer intimacy and these friendly bonds. Kevin, you say no. Tell me more.
If the goal is to keep people at, basically it's who is the customer now? If the idea is speed, in essence, you're trying to have more drive-through customers, with the idea being, well, okay, well, you need less complicated items then, so that way you can move faster. But if your customer, the idea of your customer is that they're going to be eating and drinking and hanging out inside of the store, then speed doesn't matter as much because, well, if I have to have a double shot and then changing the milks and so many different syrups and everything, that's too complicated to do fast. And it's more important to be accurate than it is to be fast. But if your customers drive through, then you probably should cut the complexity of your drinks so that way you can make them faster. If it's just some milk and some black coffee, it's
I
fast.
think you raise a great point. And see, that's one of the things when I think about this case is they talk about, you know, they want their baristas to be friendly and engage in that sort of small talk or chit chat and friendliness, which can be important to a certain segment of groups. Remember, we talked about how we have oftentimes hedonic consumers who really enjoy the experience, the emotional aspects, but then also we have utilitarian consumers who want to get in and get out. And so this case, in my opinion, looking at these metrics, speed of service doesn't necessarily align with that more personalized human to human experience that they're also striving for. And so I think it's a good illustration of how you really need to think about what are the goals, what are the metrics, are they in harmony, and to ensure that we have congruence in our goals and what we're measuring and what we're expecting of our employees. Overall, though, I think Starbucks is an outstanding company, and there's many concepts in this case that I think sheds light on some of the concepts that we've talked about all throughout this course. Like, for instance, customer orientation. Would most of you argue, where do you view Starbucks in terms of being customer oriented? High, low, and how so? Yeah.
So they're probably relatively high, customer oriented. Their whole shtick is being friendly barista that knows your order and all that stuff. I don't know. I just think at the end of the day they're pretty good.
So but he's saying high. Anybody else want to support him on them being high, and why is that the case? In customer oriented, it just isn't having friendly employees, right? Customer oriented, if we go back to our first slide deck or so, it's all about understanding your customers' wants and needs and delivering on those wants and needs. And so yes, we have some customers who want to be known by name and like that friendly experience, but also customer orientedness can come from new product development and understanding the needs and wants and creating products that resonate with consumers. And so when we look at Starbucks and their menu, let's see here. Oh goodness. Okay. Oh, let's see what fan favorites say. Okay. If we look at Starbucks' menu, they're constantly innovating, right? They're constantly adding new drinks to their menus. Yes, they have the seasonal, which are limited, in time, but they have these new items. And recently I saw protein drinks here. Has anyone tried any of them? No? Yes? Oh, are they good? What do you think?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it? Okay, why didn't you like it? Please be honest. I have not tried one, so.
It tasted it tasted fine. It just like the texture, and then I put it in I got the coffee cup, and then it was like Jell-O. It was not.
Okay.
Not as good.
So it was an iced drink or
It was a hot drink.
Oh, it was a hot drink. And then you said you did what?
I started drinking it, and I got through like coffee combined with
Like a
something
protein
else,
powder or
something like that.
Okay.
And so once I got the coffee I got the coffee first, and once I got through that, it was just drinking protein mix, which was not.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. But you look at their menu, and clearly to me, this is showing a couple of concepts of one, certainly customer oriented. They're staying on top of customers' trends, customer wants and needs. Protein seems to be in so many things these days, right? Where you're seeing protein added to cereals, to energy bars, now coffee drinks, you name it. And so that's certainly a hot trend right now, and Starbucks has jumped on it. And so they're constantly innovating their menu. We talked about how marketers need to adapt, right? We need to change our product offerings. We need to make sure our marketing program is aligned with customer wants and needs. And so I think they're a great example of how we've talked about the importance of new product development and products that resonate with consumers. I also think they're a great example of the concepts of utility that we talked about in this class. So, form utility. How does Starbucks deliver on form utility?
The whipped cream on top.
Oh, the whipped cream on top. Okay, so if you remember back to form utility relates to the features of the key product itself, right? That add value. So it's utility or benefits due to its form. So he likes the foam or the whipped cream. You might like the sizing. You might like the to-go cup features, or I think they were the first to put, and don't quote me on it, but the little like straw lid. You know what I'm talking about? So your cup doesn't spill in your car. So all of the ways in which form utility, even just in these product features of having protein in it or customizing it, right? So all of that is form utility. What about time and place utility? How is Starbucks delivering on that?
They're everywhere.
Everywhere. Or in great locations where you happen to be passing by, right? And so the place utility is them being present at these convenient locations. Time utility. How are they delivering on time utility? The group talked about speed of service being a goal, but how else? How else are they helping deliver on time utility? The different ways in which you can order, right? The buy ahead or mobile order, drive through, not just walking in store. Anyone else?
So they have like, I noticed when I was growing up, like they have like little stands too, like so inside a supermarket they have like a Starbucks stand. So it's just more locations besides the actual stores.
Yeah, so you can get the items in the grocery stores too. Like this morning I stopped and got my, I don't know what it is. It's like a double shot energy white chocolate. You guys know what I'm talking about? Probably has a third of your daily intake of sugar in it. Yeah, that's what I got. This. So it actually has less caffeine than a Monster, though. I'm just gonna let you guys know. I don't drink a whole lot of these, but we were out of town for the holiday weekend, so I did quickly stop on my way into work because I figured it would be faster. But yeah, so making it convenient, right? It's at these stores near the checkout, easy grab and go. So they do a great job of time and place utility. What about possession utility? How are they delivering on that? Making it easy for you to acquire it. This relates to some of the things we've already talked about already. So like Mia said, the app, yep.
Like Target, like you do a Target pickup, you can add your Starbucks order to it. It's just super easy to do.
Yeah, easy to order and add your existing order with Target, right? Through the app, you can easily get rewarded and get drinks that way as well. So multiple ways in which they make it easy for you to acquire the product. And lastly, what sort of psychological utility does Starbucks provide? Any?
Can be kind of trendy depending on what their offerings are at the time.
Okay, so maybe you feel like you're on trend if you're drinking the particular hot Starbucks drink. And by hot, I don't mean temperature hot. I mean like the cool, trendy drink. Would you rather be caught drinking a McDonald's coffee or a Starbucks coffee? Let's say a typical undergraduate. Typical undergraduate's probably going to want to carry that Starbucks coffee more so than a McDonald's. So yeah, there's some psychological benefit to Starbucks as well. People are creatures of habit, and right, the group started off by talking about steel here, and so I think we are creatures of habit, and so once you get into that routine and suddenly you miss your Starbucks coffee, you may feel like your day is off. Okay, like something's not right. You might actually experience some tension, some uneasiness. So that is a real thing, and so certainly Starbucks can fit into that psychological utility. What about relationship marketing programs? What programs do you think they deliver on? We talked about financial, social, and structural.
You have the, I don't know what they call it, but the rewards program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their Starbucks rewards program, so that's what, a financial program, right? Okay, so it makes people want to stay. How are they delivering on the social aspect, the social programming? You can pick on one particular student again. Right? Like, so we talked about how they remember your name, they want to be friends with, like, or they act real friendly with you. It's all about, social programs are all about making people feel special. Okay? Yes.
So I don't know if this relates to the social program, but my friend had her birthday a couple of weeks ago and Starbucks gave her like one free coffee for her birthday. And I thought that was cool.
Yes, and so that's, yeah, I mean, that's part of a social program and financial program intertwined. You know, these programs can be interdependent or interrelated. So great example. Thank you for sharing that. So I think they really deliver on those two particular programs. Structural, it's a little hard. Since those programs tend to operate more in the B2B space. But ultimately, I think they're doing a great job when we talk about those RM programs. You know, when we talk about the marketing program, talk about the products, they've done a great job in terms of branding. We talked about that in class, the product quality, the features, the packaging, right? Think about how convenient it is to hold these drinks and not get burned, or, you know, to drink them and hopefully not spill. The price point seems somewhat reasonable, right? It's not completely abnormal for the industry, right? I mean, it's certainly higher than a McDonald's coffee, but it's not off base with some other local coffee shops. So their pricing seems reasonable, especially when you get free drinks with being in the rewards program. The placement we already talked about, the pickups, the drive-through, the mobile orders, all the ways in which they excel on the place P. The price, yeah, and then promotion. I mean, they promote a little bit, not too much, but they're constantly adapting their products and making sure they stay relevant, you know, which is so critical to marketing. I also want to say that overall, I mean, I think Starbucks is an incredible company who knows their customers very, very well. Okay. And I think that, you know, when they changed that branding, they didn't really hurt or offend their core customers like we saw with Cracker Barrel, we talked about last week, and that they've continued to adapt their brand, adapt their marketing program in a way that they've continued to remain relevant in addressing consumer needs while not alienating their current or their core customers. And so I'm as a marketer, I'm really impressed by that. So with that said, I'm going to end our discussion on Starbucks and let you guys get a little bit of time to talk to your group about what you need to do to finish up your course project. So my hope was to give you a little bit of time today because we have one more slide deck before those presentations. We also have one guest speaker, Fred Blatchford, who's coming in to talk about sales. He was a VP at Johnson & Johnson, worked with him for over 20, 30 years, probably around 30 years. Who's coming in, and so we just have a few more class days left before you're gonna be presenting your project. So I want you, if you can, talk with your group members, figure out what you need to do to make sure you have a stellar course project that you're submitting. And if you need me for anything, I'll just hang out here for a few questions if you have any. But with that said, I will see you on Wednesday when we'll be talking about perceptions and attitudes. So there's actually, I don't think, any more readings because perceptions and attitudes it's not in your textbook, but I do want to talk about it. It's managing customer perceptions, and I should say attitudes and influence. It's critical to marketing. And I want to expose you to that sort of content, which is not in your textbook, but I do think it's really important for you to know, because you'll learn how marketers are trying to influence you, and you may be able to recognize, oh, this is a marketing tactic, and maybe help you make a better decision, or you might be able to use the tactic yourself in convincing others. So with that said, I'll stop talking. Please talk with your groups, and I'll hang out for a little bit to answer any questions that you might have.